This is why drugs are a bad idea, kids. The devastating effects of Massachusetts' growing opioid epidemic doesn't get any more real than a Facebook Live video showing an overdose in real time. Two men in Dorchester came across a couple passed out inside a car with a syringe visible on the woman's lap. Realizing the two were druggies, the two men banged on the window in a bid to wake them up and get them to leave. The woman eventually came to, looking startled and disoriented. But her friend Dan couldn't be shaken awake. Realizing he'd probably overdosed, the woman ran to get Narcan from the trunk.
Make sure he's all right.
He's all right. She got Narcan.
Yo, bro.
Get him, mama.
Yeah, get him.
Hey, Dan!
She administered the Narcan, but Dan remained unresponsive. Desperate, she then tried to give him CPR before telling bystanders he doesn't normally do this stuff.
Two!
She gave him 2 shots!
A police sergeant walks over and then asks about the situation. Several minutes later, Dan vomits and finally wakes up, to everyone's relief. The woman told bystanders that Narcan does work and that she'd been through it herself multiple times. Emergency medical services later arrived at the scene to treat Dan.
Yeah, he coming alive.
Boston police gave assistance, but no arrests were made. The incident did not generate a police report, nor is there a criminal investigation on the matter. The overdose video has been viewed by millions, and while disturbing, the scene is apparently an everyday occurrence for EMTs.
It's okay. You're okay.
This nigga said over your door, Justin.
According to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, around 2,000 state residents perished in opioid-related deaths last year. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. This is what some drugs will do to you. America's synthetic opioid epidemic explained. An opioid epidemic is continuing to grow in the U.S. as extremely potent synthetic drugs such as fentanyl flood the market. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, affects the brain's limbic system, which controls emotions and feelings. Once consumed, the opioids attach to receptors in the brain to reduce the brain's perception of pain. However, these same receptors also control breathing and the digestive system. When opioids attach to these receptors, breathing is suppressed, eventually leading to respiratory failure. Fentanyl is much more potent than heroin, as it only takes about 5 minutes to peak in the blood, whereas heroin takes up to 30 minutes to peak. Chemically manufactured opioids are not only more powerful, but are also cheaper to produce than heroin, which has to be made from poppies. Drug dealers mix fentanyl with heroin to reduce the cost and to make the drug much stronger. In fact, the drugs are so strong that merely touching or inhaling a very small amount can make someone seriously ill or even kill them. This has led to a spike in heroin overdoses in the U.S. Dealers often purchase fentanyl or other synthetic opioids online from suppliers in China. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration says China manufactures most of the world's synthetic opioids. The drugs are often shipped to traffickers in Mexico, where they are mixed with heroin before being smuggled into the U.S. Fentanyl and heroin have already killed 300 people in the U.S. this year. At this rate, they will kill double the number of people they killed in 2015.
Everything comes second to an opiate addiction, including your kids.
Mi amor, yo tengo una emergencia en el Family Dollar de la 114.
This heartbreaking video shows a mother ODing on drugs at a Family Dollar store in Lawrence, Massachusetts, as her 2-year-old daughter desperately tries to revive her. Police released the video on Wednesday to highlight the horrific consequences of drug addiction and what they say is an all-too-common occurrence. According to local police, the woman overdosed on heroin or another opiate, such as fentanyl. Witnesses described the woman's eyes rolling in the back of her head as her body lay limp on the floor. The woman's daughter screamed and cried her little eyes out as she tried in vain to revive her mother from the smack-induced torpor. As the poor child panicked, some helpful bystanders were on hand to film the whole thing. The cell phone footage shines an uncomfortable light on America's heroin and opiate epidemic. Police said it was disturbing to see the addiction overtake maternal instincts as a young child was left vulnerable by her mother's actions. The cops also said they wish the person filming had done something to help the kid. Paramedics arrived on the scene and were able to revive the woman with 2 shots of opiate antidote Narcan. The cops later searched the woman's handbag and found straws, baggies, and drug residue. The video is the key piece of evidence in the police's case against the mother, who will be charged with child endangerment. Her child was taken into protective custody. According to local police, children are present at around 1 in 10 of the drug call-outs they respond to.
Is synthetic marijuana really turning people into zombie junkies?
How long ago did you guys smoke spice? How long ago did you smoke? What about you? Young lady, how long ago did you smoke? What's your name? What's your name? Yes, your name. Yes.
Alright, hey!
These young people in Florida look like they're having so much fun, no? According to the media and police, the zombified Florida youngsters are off their face on Spice, K2, or whatever they're calling the dozens of varieties of synthetic marijuana easily purchased in many U.S. states these days. But we're not so sure. Sure, Spice busts are up, ER visits by freaked-out stoners on bad Spice trips have spiked, and sadly, there have been reports of over a dozen deaths linked to the stupidly unnecessary replacement for good old ganja. But we're skeptical. Paranoia, rapid heart rates, hallucinations, and other awesome side effects are all part of the Spice experience. But for the most part, it's such a sucky drug that many who try it only once. And of course, when governments or the media declare some drug epidemic, they usually, if not always, get their facts wrong and/or exaggerate claims. These so-called zombie druggies look like they're on something a lot stronger than some fake greenery, and local resident Jerome Freeland agrees, telling the Daily Mail he thinks they're on PVP, or Flakka, a powerful drug combo that's given TomoNews lots of stories of late featuring several folks running naked through the streets, and even a dude impaling his crotch on a spiked fence outside a police station. Search the word Flakka on our site and enjoy. So what do you think? Are these zombies on fake weed? If so, why? The real stuff is at least like half legal these days. Is the media making a mountain out of a molehill? And as for these idiots, well, have some class, people. Any drug that turns you into an extra from The Walking Dead is for losers, okay?
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Young Ohio couple overdose on heroin in new viral video. Shocking new footage has emerged showing the latest victims of America's growing opioid epidemic, more and more of whom are overdosing in public. On Monday, a 22-year-old Ohio mother and her boyfriend shot up heroin inside their car. The vehicle was spotted drifting diagonally across a road in Toledo, moments before it jumped the curb and crashed into a parked car. Witness Tyler Rieger saw the crash and thought the driver had suffered an attack or stroke. Instead, he found drug needles in the car and an unconscious couple who had just overdosed on smack. Rieger recorded a video of the scene and shared it on Facebook to warn of the rampant spread of drug addiction in the community. The video has more than 290,000 views.
See, man? See those needles right there? See what the heroin does to you?
Paramedics who responded to the incident used Narcan to revive the couple. They were taken to the hospital and later released. Both have been charged with drug possession.
Adults overdose on heroin with kid in the back seat. Ohio cops are making an example out of 2 irresponsible adults, supposedly in a bid to show the world the dangers of heroin addiction. Around 3 p.m. on Wednesday, an off-duty police officer in East Liverpool began following a Ford Explorer after he noticed it driving erratically. After nearly hitting a school bus that was dropping kids off, the SUV eventually skidded to a stop. The cop approached the vehicle and saw the driver was high as a kite. A woman was passed out next to him and a 4-year-old was in the back. The driver claimed he was bringing the woman to the hospital and attempted to drive away. He passed out after the cop grabbed the keys from the ignition to stop his escape. A pink powdery substance was found in the front seat, and both adults were revived before being taken to the hospital. The two are facing multiple charges, while the boy, who turns out to be the woman's son, is with Child Services. East Liverpool police posted the photos on Facebook along with a warning. But while some Facebook users were on the same page, others slammed the social shaming, especially for broadcasting the child's face. What do you think? Is it a yay or nay for the cops? Sound off with a comment below. Video shows couple passed out after snorting heroin. A disturbing video showing drug users unconscious on a Memphis sidewalk has gone viral, showcasing the dangers of drug addiction in an apathetic society. Cortland Garner was driving when he saw a man and a woman passed out by the street. He got out and immediately began streaming the scene on Facebook Live. The man was lying on his back, fully unconscious, while the woman had her face to the ground. Both had snorted heroin at a nearby Walgreens. Garner made no move to help and can be heard laughing behind the camera. He later claimed someone had already called 911. The couple were revived by cops and taken to the hospital. More videos of people overdosing in public are popping up, likely due to the growing opiate epidemic in the US. The market is being flooded with chemically manufactured opioids like fentanyl, which are cheaper to produce than natural heroin. Dealers mix the drugs with heroin to reduce costs and make a more potent product. Just a small amount can be harmful, even fatal, if touched or inhaled. The synthetic opiates are bought online from China and shipped to Mexico. From there, traffickers smuggle it into the US. The deadly drugs have already killed almost 300 in the US this year, a rate which may yet increase if the flow of drugs is left unchecked.